Welcome to Let's Talk About It. I'm Sheena.
And I'm Tamara.
And today we are talking about how to improve your EQ, which is like the second part of a two-part mini series.
Yes, so last week we spoke about what EQ is and what it means for your relationship. And this week we're going to be looking at how to actually improve your EQ with practical methods.
So there are 6 areas in which you can do exercises and pay attention in order to improve your EQ. So if, on the last episode, you listened to the Patron exclusive bit where we did the questionnaire and you came out with less than 7, this is a great set of exercises. And even if you came out with more than that, this is really cool stuff to just be aware of in relationships with yourself, with other people.
Mm-hmm.
If you're catching up now and you didn't listen to the previous episode in which we talk about what EQ is and how it manifests in your relationships, go back and listen to that first, because this episode will make a lot more sense if you do that. So the first of these 6 areas is to reduce your negative emotions. So that's thoughts that you have about your world and your environment and things that are happening to you that feel personal. So for example, having a car accident and having the reaction of, oh, why is everybody out to get me, is a really negative way of looking at the world.
Mm-hmm.
So there are 2 things here. To be able to reduce your negative emotions, the first thing you need to do is reduce your negative personalization. This is what I was just talking about. When you feel like somebody else's behavior is negatively
Directed
about
at
you, yes. So the first thing is to realize that people are not doing this about you. Nothing is about you unless you're doing it.
So it could be that your partner in the morning was very rushed and your thought is, she's angry with me, she hates me. But in the meantime, it could have been that she's distracted because she's got an important presentation at work.
Exactly. That's the first part of this. The second thing is to reduce the fear of rejection. So your fear of rejection will make things feel a lot more personal. So if you don't get that job you want, it will feel like it's against you.
Okay, so how do you actually manage rejection though?
Well, don't stick all your eggs in one basket. Figure out how to split something that you really want. For example, let's talk about the job.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Instead of applying for just one job and going, this is my dream job and I'm going to be devastated if they don't hire me, decrease your fear of rejection by saying, I'm going to apply for 3 exciting positions, and if one doesn't pan out, then there's 2 more that I'm equally well qualified for.
So it's diffusing your expectations for things that you don't really have control over.
That's exactly it.
Okay.
So if you're aware of these situations, the things in which you turn around and have negative emotions about, you are able to control your thoughts.
Mm.
And by reducing your negative personalization and by reducing your fear of rejection, you're actually taking control and you're increasing your emotional quotient as a result.
I suppose if you look at it, the fear of rejection can also, play into the negative personalization, especially if you're looking at the way people react towards you as rejection of you. Like,
absolutely.
If I don't know, people at work don't invite you to lunch with them.
Yes, absolutely.
There's the rejection, and then you can also say it's because they hate me or whatever it is. And it could just be that they saw you bring lunch and so they didn't ask you to join.
Or it could be that the car is small and whoever happened to be in the room got invited. If you understand that it's not about you,
life will be easier.
Life will be easier.
Okay, so the second thing is the ability to be assertive and express difficult emotions when necessary and in the right way. This is all about being able to not only openly talk about things that are important to you, but that you can actually clearly articulate your position and the way you feel about these things as well. Okay, so say, for example, you're in a relationship with someone and it's very important for you that you have crunchy peanut butter at home. Okay, and your partner keeps buying smooth peanut butter.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and crunchy peanut butter is extremely important to you. Do you get upset? Do you get angry? Do you
take it personally?
You take it personally, throw the jar of peanut butter onto the floor. Okay, all of those are very negative ways to handle a situation. Mm-hmm. Okay, so how do you handle that situation? What's the best way? And how do you speak to the other person in a way that will get you what you want?
Without causing a fight.
Without causing a fight.
Okay, well, that's a really complicated question. So, do you have an answer for us?
Buy 2 jars of peanut butter.
That's actually exactly what we did. I like the crunchy, you like the smooth, and so we keep both in the house.
It is, but
But that's not actually the answer to this question.
no, not really. Okay, so the answer to this question is actually all about the way that you speak. When we spoke a few weeks ago about the 4 horsemen of the relationship apocalypse, we spoke about how to fight well and how to communicate your feelings when you're angry. Because if you don't do it in the right way, you're blaming someone else. You also run the risk of seeming like you feel like you're better than the other person. So this technique helps with that. Okay. All right. So it's called the XYZ technique. All right. And how it works is as follows. I feel X when you do Y in this situation.
So in situation Z.
Yeah.
Or Z.
Yes.
Depending on where you are in the world.
Z. So for example, I feel strongly that I should get crunchy peanut butter when you go shopping.
Crunchy peanut butter is the best, so
It really is not.
Okay, so but this can apply in all sorts of situations.
It can, yes.
So if we were to apply the XYZ technique to work, I feel strongly that I should receive recognition from this company based on my contributions.
Exactly. So you're telling them how you feel. Okay. You're telling them what you want, and you're telling them the specific situation that you're having those feelings about.
Okay, so this is great because it actually will diffuse the thing and make it not personal.
Yeah, so it's not personal, it's not attacking, and it's also at a very neutral position. You're not saying that you're worse than the other person, you're not saying that you're better than the other person, you're just being matter of fact.
Also because you're making it situational, so you're saying in this situation,
Yes.
this is happening and this is how I'm feeling about it. It's a really clear statement.
Exactly. And the thing is, I mean, even if you do, like, I feel frustrated, which is a much stronger emotion than something like strongly about whatever it is, you're, linking that frustration to a super specific situation.
So I feel frustrated when you get peanut butter that is smooth and you know I like crunchy peanut butter.
Exactly. I know that it's just about the situation. It's not about frustration in general with me. It's just you really like crunchy peanut butter.
Apparently so. But I think you're right. Adding a situation is a great technique.
Yes.
Adding a situation, I feel X when you do Y in situation Z. I mean, that's a great shorthand way of doing this. So this will help you be assertive and express difficult emotions when you need to.
Yes, and not in a negative way, which is what's important.
Right. And being aware of all of this also makes you understand yourself better. So you can understand, I'm feeling this in this situation when you're doing this.
Yeah, so it's all about being constructive and not destructive. Remember, we're trying to build strong relationships. We're not trying to break down each other.
I think that's a great way of looking at EQ, actually. So my next point is the ability to stay cool and manage stress. This, I think, is one of the things that I suffer with the most. I tend to be a hothead if I'm feeling irritated about something, especially when that something feels really personal about somebody that I care about. So how we handle stressful situations makes a huge difference between being assertive and reactive, poised and frazzled. Here's 2 quick tips that I found. The first one is a situational thing. Put cold water on your face, get some fresh air, avoid caffeine.
Okay, so you're literally staying cool.
You're literally staying cool.
So do I need to follow you around with like a little spray bottle?
So the bringing your own core temperature down, getting fresh air, avoiding caffeine, what it does is it actually affects your body. So physically, on a physical level, you are reducing your anxiety and your nervousness and your stress by cooling down your body temperature, making sure that you're getting enough oxygen, and avoiding caffeine, which is actually a stimulant to your nervous system. And the problem with stimulants is it heightens your stress, it heightens your anger, it heightens all of those.
Yeah,
bad
so
things.
if you're someone that's prone to anxiety, paranoia, nervousness, stay away from coffee, from
Tea,
cold drinks, energy drinks.
anything with caffeine.
Yeah.
So there are teas, herbal teas that you can have without caffeine. Just make sure that they don't have caffeine. But regular tea has caffeine, lots of it, more than coffee off sometimes. So tea drinkers out there,
Yeah. And if you feel like you need those things to stay awake and cope with your life or get more energy, seriously consider more rest. And sleeping is very important to looking after yourself.
Right. Okay, so the second thing to be able to manage stress and stay cool is when you feel fearful or depressed or discouraged, any kind of really deep negative stuff, try aerobic exercise.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because
So we prepare our leotards.
You know what? Even if you're in the office, try 10 jumping jacks. Just go somewhere where nobody can see you. Make sure you're wearing a sports bra.
I'm just imagining like standing up like in your cubicle and doing jumping jacks.
Go to the basement. Go to where the cars are parked. Do you know what I mean? Just take a few minutes for yourself. Jump up and down. Fear, depression, discouragement, the emotions that are depressive emotions are aggravated when you don't have good blood flow in your body.
Mm-hmm.
So the aerobic exercise actually helps lift those emotions. If you get your heart pumping and your blood flows through your body, you get more oxygen in your body, and it actually helps with those feelings.
And it releases endorphins.
So just go for a brisk walk. Do something that makes you pant, because that's how you know your heart is working.
Yeah, and if you've got a set of stairs in your office, just run up those.
Yeah.
So it's an easy, non-weird way of getting in that cardio.
You don't like the idea of jumping jacks? I think jumping jacks are great. Just make sure you're wearing a sports bra. That is my only thing with jumping jacks. You're listening to The Lesbian Talk Show. TheLesbianTalkShow.com, your hub of podcast information.
So the next point is the ability to bounce back from adversity. This is all about how you deal with when something bad or negative has happened, or something that you didn't want to happen, or something unexpected has happened. How do you come back from that? Are you depressed? Does it create more anxiety?
Do you also do this thing where you feel like it's a personal attack against you? I've seen people like, oh no, I didn't get that job. I feel so depressed. Everything's in my life is going to hell.
Yes, I mean, it does start to feel like it's all about you, and it's, this happens to you, and why does it only happen to you, where the other person who's not as good as you seems to be always get what they want.
Right.
Yeah.
So how do you do that? How do you come back from adversity? What is great advice for bouncing back?
I think the best advice for this is to, again, step back from the situation the way you would with personalization and look at it with a fresh set of eyes and say, what can I learn from the situation? So what's the lesson? How can I do better next time? What is maybe the advantage to whatever happened? Sometimes there is. Just stepping back and looking at a few ways that this is not as bad as it seems to be.
So saying something like, what's important now, what's the next steps?
Yes.
Also seems like a good idea.
Mm-hmm. Let's do a few examples.
Okay.
So you didn't get a job that you wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What are some positives that could be from it?
Maybe there's a different opportunity out there for you.
Yeah, there could be a better opportunity. This might have been a great dry run for an interview process, and now you know what to do better next time. It could be that you've heard that this opportunity actually was not as great as you thought it was originally.
Maybe you're not quite ready for it, and this gives you more time to increase your management skills.
Exactly. So there are a few ways there. And in your personal life,
maybe the fact that you keep getting the wrong peanut butter means that I have the opportunity to increase my EQ and talk to you proactively about it.
Yes,
and practice that. Maybe
because I don't get you peanut butter, you're eating less bread and therefore less carbs.
There we go.
So the grand disappointment of crunchy peanut butter. No,
smooth peanut butter. I like the crunchy. You like the smooth.
I hate crunchy peanut butter. It's like having wet sand in your mouth.
It's not. It's delicious. It adds a textural sensation. Smooth peanut butter just sticks to everything. It sticks to the roof of your mouth.
I think you're putting way too much peanut butter on your sandwiches.
I think you're not tasting enough. Okay, so my next point. Now that we're off the grand peanut butter debate, which neither of us will ever win.
We'll just buy more mugs.
Okay, so the next thing, the fifth point, is the ability to stay proactive, not reactive, in the face of a difficult person. This is something that takes great mastery for me, because when somebody is challenging me and is right in my face about something, not getting angry and upset is a skill that I need to breathe through, right? I'm a fighter, not a fleer.
I'm spraying you with my little bottle of ice water.
So here are 2 steps you can take
Okay.
to help you master the skill. Okay, so the first one is, when you're feeling angry and upset, take a breath, count slowly to 10. This is one of those things where you remove yourself from the situation so that you're not reactive, you're proactive.
Okay, so pretty much like before you speak or do something, take a moment.
Yes. Formulate how you're going to say something. So, you know those moments where you're thinking, it's funny that you should say that because, right? Don't do that. Breathe through it. And then practice your XYZ technique. Okay, so this comes back to that technique again.
Yes.
The next thing you do, this next step you can do, is put yourself in the difficult person's shoes. Okay, so this is really difficult because you're in this situation and you're feeling angry and you're feeling upset and you want to like just punch them. But if you think about why they're being the way they are, and a way to do this is to use the phrase, it must not be easy.
Okay.
So
this is kind of that personalization thing again.
Exactly.
Okay.
So my boss is really demanding. It must not be easy to have such high expectations placed on her performance by management.
Okay. So the way to do this wouldn't be to say, it must not be so easy being such an asshole.
No, that sort of defeats the purpose.
Okay. Just being clear.
So, no, because you need to put... I do understand that you want to do that, but no, that's the wrong way to increase your EQ. So, think about...
minus 10 points.
Empathetic statements is what we're going for here.
Okay.
So you don't want to excuse unreasonable behavior, but you want to sort of think about what could possibly be driving this, especially in circumstances where this person is not necessarily always an arse.
Okay.
Right, so it must not be easy going shopping every day and therefore, forgetting the crunchy peanut butter.
Yeah, or I know she's got like a lot on her mind, so
yes,
it's easy to just forget.
It must not be easy being in a difficult work situation, and so I can understand why she would forget the crunchy peanut butter.
Okay, cool.
And then if you take this a step further to help fix the situation, so it must not be easy for her to have so much on her plate at work, and therefore she forgets the crunchy peanut butter. Maybe I can send her a reminder text just before she goes shopping.
That's a great way because it's very proactive and constructive. So especially if you send the text in a way that's not like, I know you're going to forget this, but more like, hey, just a heads up, this is what we need, and have more than just the crunchy peanut butter on it.
Yes. Do a full shopping list, including your crunchy peanut butter. It makes it sound like we really have a problem with peanut butter.
It does.
Oh, we don't. We just buy both. Actually, you're really great at making sure I have crunchy peanut butter. You don't always have smooth peanut butter, but you make sure I have crunchy peanut butter. It's so sweet.
Well, I know you're really not a fan of the smooth stuff, so yeah.
I appreciate you.
Appreciate you.
Okay, so the last point, which I'm going to jump in here, because this actually ties into a Patron exclusive that we're going to do.
Okay.
At the end of this section. We're going to do a Patron exclusive, which will appear only on the Patron version of this podcast. So check out the show notes for a link, or go to patreon.com/The Lesbian Talk Show if you want to become a patron. Get exclusive content, behind the scenes peeks, and things like
what we're going to do next.
But let's talk about this point first.
Okay, so the last way to improve your EQ
is the ability to express intimate emotions in close personal relationships. So a lot of people struggle with effectively sharing how they feel in intimate relationships, but also accepting how somebody else feels when they share it.
Okay.
So, for example, when a person says, I love you,
okay,
the other person might turn around and make a joke out of it, like, oh, I, adore you.
Oh, you're such a dork.
Exactly, right? Because that's an inability to cope with those intimate, scary feelings that we have. So, be aware of that in close personal relationships and accept it and share it.
Okay, so you need to learn to deal with those kinds of emotions.
Yes, all those scary,
Feelings.
big feelings that you have about that squishy person who sleeps next to you at night.
Learn to deal with those feelings. And don't be afraid to have feelings.
No.
Because I think that might be part of the issue is,
Absolutely.
what happens when you have those feelings? Like, are you open to rejection?
It does. Well, it does. It does open you to rejection, but you're not going to be able to build a good, solid foundation of love and respect and so on without acknowledging these feelings and sharing them, because what you're going to lose out on is that very close connection, which is actually what we're going to talk about next. We're going to talk about some research that Dr. John Gottman did, which, if you recall, we actually spoke about this like in one of our previous episodes. But I'm going to talk about the bidding that happens between couples next.
Okay.
So that's all for this week's Let's Talk About It. I'm Sheena.
And I'm Tamara.
Go rate us on Apple Podcasts, because then we get to spread the love to all the other people who want to listen to awesome podcasts.
Mm-hmm. And if you know of anyone who needs to increase their EQ, or you know that they need to help someone else increase their EQ, please share this podcast with them.
Totes. Become a patron, because you get awesome behind the scenes stuff. Link is in the show notes. I think that's it for this week.
Bye.